All right, I think we are live. So hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I am Stephanie with Big Dog Mom, and we are live here today with Pamela Dennison, who I will give a short bio of her here in just a second, but just want to double check one thing as we get started. Thank you. I have kids here and dogs, so we are hoping for the best here. So, okay, now. Sorry, apologize. Come here. Lay down. Okay, since we're talking about dog training, we're going to see how obedient he is. Sit down. June. Sit. Okay, sorry. Lay down. There. Good job. Okay. So what I wanted to do is just double check sound. So if those of you who are watching can just let me know that you hear me, and Pamela, maybe say hello, and let's just double check that everybody can hear you as well.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear us.
Okay, I hear you perfect. Okay, we got a bunch of thumbs up. So
Great.
I was just on just about an hour ago, and my sound was terrible, and it was really crackly, so I am praying that this headset is going to work out a lot better. So all right, so with all of that being said, thank you so much for joining, those of you that are here live, and then all of the replay viewers. I appreciate you hopping on. This is going to be a very fruitful and wonderful hour, as we are so blessed to have, thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you letting me know. We are blessed to have Pamela Dennison here, which is just a true honor for me, as I have been a huge fan of Pamela for a very long time. So, all right. So quick couple of housekeeping things. So the first thing is, what I try to do with all of my live sessions is kind of follow up my blog post on this particular topic. So the blog post that I wrote in and around trying to help folks understand how to find a great dog trainer, because as you know, one size doesn't fit all. There's a lot of variety in the methods and things that dog trainers use. And so not everyone is, I guess, what I would recommend. So I gave some tools and some things to think about in terms of finding a great dog trainer. So that's the first thing. The link to that blog post is in the description of this video. I hope, if I did it right. The second thing is there is a free downloadable that you can grab if you go to bigdogmom.com / dog training books. And that is just a list of all of the books we're going to reference today, of Pamela's, and a bunch more. So those books that would be in and around positive dog training and canine behavior, those things that I use as tools and things that I use with my own dogs, and just kind of an overall philosophy of dog training and canine behavior, that is in that downloadable. So bigdogmom.com / dog training books. Okay, so that's all the housekeeping. So as I said, we are here with Pamela Dennison, and just as a quick bio, Pamela is a certified dog behavior consultant with the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants. She is a member of the Pet Professional Guild, and highly recommend you checking that out. I will make sure that I put a link to that as well. That's something that just all of us dog owners can be a part of. So Pet Professional Guild is a great place to go, and truly dog friendly. And she is a former member of the Association of Professional Dog Trainers. She founded a company called Positive Dogs in 1996. And she has literally helped thousands of dog owners develop a better relationship with their dog through the work that she does with obedience and canine behavior modification, and just kind of problem solving. And I think that's kind of her real true skill set, and her gift is with dogs that have issues, and helping owners overcome those things and build a better relationship, which is really the most important thing. So, and she's a speaker and an author, and we're going to talk about, so this is one of my all-time favorite dog training books. And, so this is called You Can Train Your Dog. So this is one of her books. She's written many. And we'll talk about that here. And then she also creates DVDs and online courses to help, owners as well. And has seminars, and one seminar in particular called, it's the Reward Zone. Is that Is that right? And that's specific to aggressive dogs. So she's written books on the topic of aggressive dogs. And so we'll get into one of the pre-submitted questions that we have in and around dog aggression and that kind of thing, which I know is it's unfortunately all too common. So with all of that said, really quick whirlwind, Pamela, is there anything that you would want to add before we get started?
No, that was great.
Okay, perfect. All right, so so what I'd love to do, I reached out to the Big Dog Mom community and asked for some pre-submitted questions, so things that were, issues for you guys. And so we're going to cover those pre-submitted questions, but in the course of this discussion, if you have additional questions, please pop those into the comments. I am hopefully seeing all of the comments. I can't verify that for sure, but I think that I am. And so make sure you put those in the comments and we will try to get to as many as we can. We're going to shoot for about an hour for this, if not, a little less. So between 45 minutes to an hour for this whole live Q&A. So I'm going to do one quick thing here, though, as really unprofessional as this is, Pam. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to share this without doing it on a different device. So I'm going to do that super quick, unless somebody else can just share it. Let's see. I'm going to try to figure this out. I should have had this pulled up ahead of time. So apologies, everyone. This is, it just take 2 seconds. So as I'm doing that, okay, so here, let's just quick share this to a group. And so we're going to share this with the Big Dog Mom community. There we go. So we should be live now in the community. So, okay. I just wanted to make sure we did that. So, a lot of folks over there were the ones that submitted the questions. So I wanted to make sure that they got in there. So, okay. With that said, let's get to our first question that was pre-submitted. And that is, how can I keep my dog from jumping up on people? So, Pam, I know we talked a little bit before we went live about this particular issue, and you have some things to kind of share. So I'll let you take that one. Go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, if it's a puppy or an adult dog, if it's on the street, if it's in the house, a lot of what causes it and creates more of a problem is how you react to it. So if you're on the street and your dog wants to jump on somebody and you yank back, what you're basically doing is throwing them off balance so they're going to jump even more. And of course, you're always going to get the people that say, oh, it's okay, I love dogs. And just, it does matter, but right. Just ignore those people and say, if your dog is pettable and your dog is starting to jump, and the person says, no, it's okay, I love dogs, just walk away. You don't have to stay there. So that's number one. Number two, I like to teach it with a cookie sheet, which I have here. This is the cookie sheet. And this is the biggest one I have because you guys have big dogs.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. So it takes up practically the entire oven. So what you're going to do is you're going to use this cookie sheet as a shield, not as a weapon. So a lot of times when dogs jump, their claws, especially your dogs, really big claws. Oh my God. And so you have no choice but to react to your dog who is jumping on you.
Sure.
So however you react, you are reinforcing it. It's that simple. Whether it's negative or positive, you're still reinforcing that behavior. So with the use of a cookie sheet, you have the opportunity to do what's called NCR, no change response. So with the protection of the cookie sheet, and of course you're going to have to brace yourself a little bit because you have big dogs, you hold your shield, your cookie sheet up, and that way you can remain neutral so that the person that the dog is jumping on, if they remain completely neutral, because now you can, because this keeps you from getting hurt, okay,
Mm-hmm.
or in clothing or, nipping or whatever, especially with babies, they stop because you're not giving them positive or negative feedback. You're giving them neutral, no change response. So no change response means you don't change your behavior.
Okay.
And with the protection of a cookie sheet or a big dog, you can always use a chair, because probably the cookie sheet for a 240-pound dog is probably not going to yield you as much protection.
Right.
If you need to use a chair, you use a chair, and it's not used as a weapon.
Right.
It is very, very important. Do not use pieces of furniture or a cookie sheet or whatever, something solid that will protect you. It's also called protected contact. Don't use it as a weapon.
Okay.
Use it as a shield so that you can remain neutral. 90% of the dogs, within a week or two, they stop jumping. So I start that for dogs that, especially the young ones, I like to start the young ones on this because you don't have to say anything. And then your clothes aren't getting ripped and you're not getting bloody.
Right.
And
that's key.
Yeah. When you've got an adult dog, okay, that has a history of jumping, you can do what I call the excuse me game, where you walk into them very gently, very slowly. Now, typically, so if this is the dog, okay, and this is me, so I'm doing this perpendicularly.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog is standing, okay, I walk into the dog, but I'm not touching. I'm just leaning over. Most dogs will yield to your pressure.
Okay.
And they'll be like, oh, okay. So they move a step. So you'd click and toss the treat on the ground. Very important. Toss the treat.
You're not handing them the treat.
That's right. Because if you're handing them the treat, you're inviting them in. What we're trying to do is say, hey, get away from me.
Right.
So what you would do, so you'd stand still. So this is you. This is your dog. You put your food hand behind your back. Very important. And then you walk into the dog, again, not touching. And then some dogs just don't move. So you just take a deep breath and sigh it out and think to yourself, could you please get out of my way? The dog will yield. Okay, believe me, I've done this. The only dog in my whole career that did not yield was a basset hound.
That's hysterical.
It was hysterical. So as they yield, as they move away from you, so here's, again, this is you, this is the dog. I'd click that movement away from you and then whip the treat on the ground really fast.
Okay.
Okay. And then you do it again and again and again. And then when they start to see you coming again, you don't want to go this way because then they'll just sit, which is not a bad thing, but not what we're looking for. We want them to yield. We want them to move away from you.
Okay.
So once the dog is yielding, moving away from your pressure, again, no touching, you can start to name it. So it would be, excuse me, click and toss the treat.
You're pairing the words, excuse me, with getting away.
Exactly. With moving away. So then what you would do, because I've worked with some diehard jumpers. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you can get to the point where they might be coming toward you and you can tell that they're going to jump on you. You just give them the mommy look, like, and just take one step toward them as they're coming at you across the room. And you just say, excuse me. And they will absolutely back off.
Okay.
Okay.
And so just to clarify, so if a dog is actively jumping, so our neighbors who have a Shepherd Malinois mix that is just a constant jumper until you're there for a few minutes and then he stops jumping on you. But, he's leap up in your face even. So with him, you would start with that as just a shield. And then outside of when he's jumping, so not when people are coming to the door, you're going to practice the excuse me at another time. You're going to do sessions of that to kind of pair that excuse me with the moving away from you. And then you slowly start to pair those then to, once he knows that, then you work on during times when he's jumping.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
Yeah. Then I have another one. I have a ton of different options for not jumping. So then, okay, so here's you. Here's the dog. Now, I do typically have the dogs tethered for this.
Okay.
I don't like the owners to hold the leash because human nature, the dog's going to try to jump on me and they're going to yank the dog back.
Right.
Well, what association, first of all, is that going to make? It's not a positive association.
Right.
With people approaching. So what I do is I teach them. So I have tethers in my wall, so I have them hook their leash up. And so again, so this is the dog and this is me. So I walk and then I ask them, I walk up to the dog, I ask them to sit, they sit, I give them a cookie and I instantly walk away. Do that a couple times, usually within 2 to 3 reps. Seriously. I don't have to say sit again.
Yeah.
The dog just see me come and they automatically sit. And this is called a person approaching is a cue to sit.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And dogs are so habitual that it doesn't surprise me at all that would be that quick.
Yeah. And a lot of my clients are like, how did that happen? I'm like, well, your dog's really smart.
Right. Yeah.
This is not rocket science.
No.
You don't need to knee the dog in the chest and kick them and yank them down and do all these horrible things. Just what would you like the dog to do? Well, I'd like the dog to sit when somebody approaches. Well, okay. So you just, approach the dog. But again, you want to be out of leash range so that if the dog is starting to launch, then you can instantly turn away.
Right.
And walk away. You don't want to, that's another thing too. Because we always rotate, and I have all my students do everybody's dog.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, all the dogs just won't jump on me, but they'll still jump on everybody else.
Right.
So I have everybody rotate, and a lot of times it's interesting that the dog will start to jump, and the person will stay there. Like, why are you letting that dog jump on you? So I have to instruct everybody: if the dog starts to launch, turn away, go out of leash range.
Okay.
Turn back, sit. If the dog, as you can see, if they're about to launch, just walk away. And then you do that again and again. And usually with those launching, usually the babies,
yeah,
Goldens, Labs,
right. The bonkers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are the ones that it's usually the Labs actually that, take a little.
They're persistent. Sure.
Yeah. And so you can do that. So that's another way. Another way, if you've got a really crazy dog, what I've done where I can't even get them, like I wouldn't be able to, I maybe get them to sit, but I can't then go an inch closer to feed because they're going to launch again.
Uh-huh.
What I'll do is sit and then I'll throw the treat behind the dog. So they have to move away from me.
Okay.
The treat. So I will do it that way.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like, what you're doing is thinking of ways to not then reinforce the jumping. So you're either moving away or you're tossing the treat away. It's to avoid that, which inevitably gets reinforced if they're able to do it.
Right. Because if you're pushing them down, they think you're playing. So
right.
They come back at you. And again, if you're, what association are you creating if you're hurting the dog for jumping?
Right. Definitely. And that would be the worst thing to do. Okay. So
the key is, number 1, train your dog. Okay. Number 2, that's all right.
So sorry.
Don't let it happen in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Be proactive, not reactive.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep. That makes sense.
Now my Sheltie is barking at your
I know.
mastiff.
I'm so sorry. Everyone, this is what happens. We are live. My daughter, who is so lovely, can you figure out what's going on? Okay.
Okay.
So sorry. Okay. So the next question that we have, maybe, because you had kind of talked about having, starting with puppies. So this one is a little bit different, where somebody had asked the question, my puppy is seemingly afraid of everything. How can I help her? So this can be something from,
Gosh.
right, getting an early, an 8-week-old puppy, you bring him home and she's afraid of everything. And I have actually had personal experience with this. So I'd love to hear your, kind of couple of minutes just on a fearful puppy and how to help. And I think the primary concern is that this would then get worse over time. It would be progressively worse and then potentially, turn into fear aggression in some breeds, which is something that happens. So how is there a way to avoid it, and how can we help a fearful puppy?
Well, dogs do go through many fear periods. And since you have my book in front of you, I don't have it in front of me.
Yes.
But you have it in front of me, you can actually look it up real quick.
So do you remember?
I don't remember. It's under the puppy chapter.
Okay.
You can even tell people what pages it's
Yep.
on.
Yep.
But dogs go through many different fear periods. Now, some dogs don't go through any, and other dogs go through every single one. So the key is, how are you dealing with a fear period? You want to make sure, like if they're going to a puppy class, continue in the puppy class. But stop taking them around too much.
Okay.
Figure out what they're afraid of. And then maybe either work through it or just avoid it for now. Okay? Like, for instance, I was working with this golden, love the car, love the car, love the car. All of a sudden, abject terror with the car. Would not go near it. We had to carry the dog out of my building to go home because she knew the car was out there. We couldn't get her to potty midway through class. We couldn't get her. Yep, there we go.
So it's page 131 for everyone. Just FYI, in the replay, it's page 131 in here. There's an entire chapter on puppy socialization and everything that Pam's talking about. So go ahead.
Okay, good. So it took about 3 weeks of a lot of different work with this puppy, and this puppy is now going back up into the car. So we don't know exactly why dogs are all of a sudden afraid of things, but you'll start to see where all of a sudden they're going to start freaking out about stuff that they were fine with. So that's a little ding, ding, ding. Okay, dog's in a fear period. And it could be with a person, could be with another dog, it could be a location, it could be an object, it could be anything. So you can jolly, like, oh, wow, look at that car, yay, and then throw some treats in the other way. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. What you don't want to do is punish the dog for it, even if it includes growls and teeth showing, because you're setting the stage then for the rest of the dog's life.
Right.
So you want to make sure, once you realize, oh, okay, this is a fear period, then again, they last a week or two, sometimes 3. Keep doing what you're, if you like, you can take the dog to class or the park and your dog is still fine in those locations, continue to do that. But you don't want to up the game when they're vulnerable.
Right.
Okay, when they're in this vulnerable state. And whatever you do, don't spay and neuter during a fear period.
Oh, gosh. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that requires the owner to be vigilant with how their dog is feeling and use that as a determinant, right? Is this a good time or a not so good time to spay and neuter? Yeah. Or any surgery. I mean, if it can be avoided during that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So typically, it's starting to change. It's starting, especially for the big dogs, you want to wait till they're a good 18 months.
Right, definitely.
For the growth plates to close. But a lot of vets are still doing juvenile spay and neuter. Yep. Or the old standard 6 months spay and neuter. And I would wait a little bit. Wait as long as you can.
Yep. And I will say just about the fear periods, because I think that's a really good point. Yeah, Junior went through, it was literally like 2 days where all of a sudden he was around 7, 8 months old. And it was like, we walked around took a walk on the neighborhood was when I kind of first noticed it. And he was real, his body language was just totally different. We have construction people all over in Arizona. So there were just some guys out working and all of a sudden he was real wary about them. And And it was like 2 days later, the same people, not one reaction other than a happy wagging tail. And I think, when he was a little fearful, it wasn't even fear. It was like just a little bit like, I don't know who you are. I don't know you. And so we did slowly approach them, and the guys pet him and he was fine, but it took him a little bit. He was a little weirded out is the best way to describe it. And that same kind of 2 days, it was like the vacuum cleaner, lots of different things caused just a very different reaction in him. But as long as I just, was like, oh, sniff the vacuum. It's totally fine. And then he was good with it. But it was like something he had seen countless times up until that point. Now all of a sudden created this weird reaction in him. And I think to your point, it's our reaction to that then kind of determines how they move out of that fear period. Okay.
Right. Also, be very careful though. If they're afraid of a person, you can maybe encourage them to approach, but I would not let the person pet them.
Okay.
Because this is threatening.
Right.
So what I would do is if a dog was going through a fear period and I was there and maybe they were afraid of me all of a sudden. I don't know.
Right.
So if they would approach me, I would give them a bunch of calming signals. I'd look away. I'd yawn, squint, blink, lick my lips, and then have the owner take the dog away and then leave the leash loose and let's see if the dog will approach me.
Right. Okay.
You want to let your dog do it at their own pace.
Yeah. So, and I think to that point, it was Junior that decided he wanted to go say hello. He wanted to sniff them. So I sort of just let him direct that interaction.
But sniffing you is not an invitation to pet.
That's true. Okay.
And a lot of people think, oh, the dog sniffed me. Let them, the old wives' tale, let them sniff your hand and then you can pet them.
Right.
Wrong answer. Sniffing is not an invitation. This is an invitation. When they put their hand under your head, like, come on, pet me. That's an invitation.
Okay.
Sniffing is not.
Okay.
So usually what I'll do is I'll keep my arms to myself. The dog will sniff me. And then, I may hold my hand like just right here. If the dog's right here, I might hold the back of my hand to the dog, see what they do.
Okay.
If they move into me, I'll do a little bit of a backhanded stroke. 1, 2, take my hand away.
Okay.
If they move into me again, I will 1, 2, take my hand away. If they move in again, I'll do maybe 3 or 4 strokes. Take my hand away. So I give them a tiny bit and then keep my hands to myself, see what the dog does. A lot of times, 1, 2, okay, and they leave.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you're giving your dog the opportunity to leave.
Okay. Yep. And giving them that space to make those decisions. So
absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point. Thank you for that. Okay. So for the next question, this is kind of, I don't know. Dogs bark for lots of reasons. And so this one just deals with, dogs that are very vocal. So Sully is one of those dogs that, for any odd reason, and mostly I act like I have termed it, he's just bossing me around. Like he's very bossy. So if he wants his food, he's barking at me. If he wants his toy, he's barking at me. So how do you control a very vocal dog?
Okay. Stop reinforcing him.
Oh, and I do reinforce him completely because I totally give in.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you give in, then you've just reinforced demand barking.
Right.
So this is what I'm doing. Now I have Shelties. So they bark for a living.
Yes, right.
Okay. And I realize, sometimes I screw up too. All of a sudden, apparently because I'm reinforcing it, if I get up, if I just walk around the house, they're fine. But if I ask them, do you want to go OUT? I don't want to say it real loud because then we'll start talking.
Right.
But if I say that and I start walking to the back door, it sounds like I have 50 Shelties and I only have 2. So what I'm doing now is I will ask them if they need to go. And then they start barking, and I stay where I am until they shut up. Okay. And then I fake them out. I'll go into the bedroom. I'll go into the office. I'll go into the living room. I'll go into the kitchen. I'll go into the bathroom, and gradually wend my way to the back door. And then I have them, I ask them to quiet, which they do know quiet because I taught it. And then I ask them to sit and stay while I open the door, and then I let them go out. Okay, so I'm trying to get them to stop, because this is a new thing where, every time I move to the back door or the front door, if I'm going to be leaving, the back door, that's,
it's the trigger. Yep.
Right. Not even its trigger, it's a cue.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And they've always been pretty good about dinner time, because I, sit, stay while I prepare it, and then okay. And then I put it down.
They're not being reinforced for barking. They're being reinforced for doing whatever behaviors before they get their food.
But the demand barking, if you think about it, everyone except me, as soon as their dog starts barking, they look at the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So you're reinforcing the dog for barking every single time.
Okay.
What you must do, the dog is barking, continue doing what you're doing, no change response again,
mm-hmm.
or leave the room and give them nothing. And if you have to lock yourself into another room until they shut up, but then you don't want to do it, this is the key. Timing is everything.
Yes.
So, okay, your dog is barking for 5 minutes. You've ignored the dog. You're just sitting here for 5 minutes, counting sheep, twiddling your thumbs, whatever. Dog finally shuts up, and instantly you do something that reinforces the dog. So now you've just reinforced 5 minutes of barking.
Got it. Okay.
So when the dog does a bad behavior, i.e. a behavior you don't particularly want,
okay,
and they either stop jumping or stop barking or whatever, and you reinforce them right away, you've just reinforced all of the icky behaviors.
Right. You talk about that with respect to puppy biting. So just to...
Well, it's everything.
Yes. But I think that one was one that I've used with other people too, just the recommendation on, if he's doing something right then and you say you're reinforcing it. But if you wait just 5 or 10 seconds, then... Right? It's all about timing. So finish what you're saying.
Get them to do something else. Sit down, shake paw, I don't care what it is, something.
Okay.
So if the dog is doing something you like, forget about the bad stuff. So the dog is, boom, wow, you're laying down really nice. Here's a treat. Okay? But if the dog is doing something icky and then does something good, don't reinforce right away.
Okay.
Because then you're reinforcing the icky.
Okay.
But if the dog is being good, yeah, reinforce.
Okay. Yeah, I
right
think.
away.
And I have used that before with the and I guess from what I hear you saying as far as the barking is concerned, that it's not really like ignoring the behavior, but it's just not reinforcing it. And I think that would work with me. If I don't even give him eye contact when he's barking at me, that's right. Enough of a non-response from me right. that he would probably stop doing it. Cause he's not normally a very vocal dog. It's just directed at me. So, which is awesome. Okay. So let's, so we've got, and if you guys, folks that are watching, if you guys have any other questions, definitely pop them into the comments. I think that I'm seeing everything. So let me know. Okay. So this, so let's talk about leash, like loose leash walking is kind of the way we would describe it, but kind of leash manners. So what is the best way to quickly train a dog to not pull on the leash? And obviously with respect to having big dogs, what's the best way to handle that with a big dog that's pulling you on the leash?
Okay. So first of all, you have to understand that loose leash walking is not a single behavior.
Okay.
And that's where everyone has problems, because they're looking at it as a single behavior, like a sit.
Okay.
Or a down. or a stand or a nose target. That's a single
a
behavior.
trick or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a single behavior. It is a whole bunch of different behaviors that get you to be able to walk the dog to walk on a loose leash. So the first thing that I do is teach eye contact. So basically you stand there, obviously you'd have to prime some sort of a marker signal, a click, whether it's a real clicker or a mouth click, something like that. So you'd prime that so that the dog knows when I hear this, that means I did something right and I'm going to get rewarded.
Okay.
So you do that for, a minute. Okay. 60 treats, count out 60 treats, click treat, click treat, click treat, click treat.
And that's priming it.
That's priming.
Right.
Then you'd work on eye contact. So you feed a dog 60 treats and then you put your hands behind your back. They're going to look up at you and say, well, what'd you stop for? And as soon as they look up at your face, you'd mark that behavior and then you just stand there and wait. Just look at your dog. As soon as they look up, click and treat. Do that for a couple minutes at a time, couple times a day, in as many different locations as you can.
And that I will say is the best way to teach, like watch, look at me, anything, any kind of eye contact, where
right.
I've been in many classes where they say, just hold a treat, right? It's the worst way to treat it. Yeah. Or worst way to train them.
Yeah. And I never cue it. I never give it a cue.
Right.
I never say, look at me. I never say watch. And then there's this, I hate, putting the cookie here. Oh my God, just don't. Just don't. Trust me. Otherwise, does the dog sit if you don't ask them to sit? Do they stay if you don't ask them to stay? No. Are they going to look at you unless you cue it?
Mm-mm.
No. So if you name the behavior of eye contact, they'll only look at you when you cue it.
Right.
So what are you going to do? Walk around, say, look at me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me your whole life? Like, just teach it. Don't name it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So then, and I'm going through this quickly. So then the next step would be name response. So the dog looks at you, you say their name, you click and treat. And you do that a couple times a day, a couple minutes at a time, in as many as many locations as you can. Then you're going to work on come. Now I start come as a stationary exercise. And yes, come does have something to do with loose leash walking.
Okay.
So I'm standing still. The dog is standing in front of me or sitting or lying down. I really don't care. This is a stationary, i.e. nobody's moving exercise.
Okay.
Okay. Dog looks at you, say their name, say your come word, click and treat.
Okay.
Dog looks at you, say their name, click your come word, click and treat. Now when you're doing that, don't do doggy come.
Right.
It's like, what? Doggy, come, click and treat. So put a half a breath in between. Because if you pair, you don't want to put the pronoun and the verb together.
Okay.
You want a space.
Okay.
So you do that for a couple times a day, a couple minutes at a time, throughout the week, many, many different locations. So that's your first step, actually, for loose leash walking, is stationary attention.
Okay.
Then we get moving attention. So the dog is in front of you. See, I always teach a heel first. Okay? Because if you don't teach a heel first and you just try to get a loose leash walk, you will be trying for the rest of the dog's life. It will not happen. If you teach a heel first, which takes 2 to 3 weeks tops, and then you teach a loose leash walk, it takes a whopping hour to train a loose leash walk.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And people don't believe me. My own clients don't believe me. And then we take them outside and I give them all like a 15-foot long line and they're like, my dog's going to pull me. My dog. No, they won't. By the end of the hour, the dogs are just walking on a loose leash and they're like, yeah, we didn't believe you and it's real.
And now how do you manage, just really quickly? So if there are, because out in the road, I mean, I can imagine in our little cul-de-sac, if somebody walks by or somebody good night has a dog. So how do you then work up to being where there's distractions and then having the dogs stay with you? And maybe that's a whole other.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning, try to do it with as little distractions as possible, as you would train anything. then what you would do is the dog is facing you, you're facing the dog, and then you feint to the right and feint to the left, and then if they chase you, you click and treat them.
Because they're right with you.
Yeah, so this is called Be the Stupid Bunny. Okay? Because there are two kinds of bunnies on the planet. There are the smart bunnies that see a predator and freeze. So they blend into the background. Those bunnies get to live another day.
Right, okay.
Then you have the stupid bunnies that see a predator and go hopping, 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 bam, dead bunny.
Right, okay.
So which bunny do you want to be to attract your dog? So I'm asking you, I'm asking your viewers, which bunny do you want to be to attract your dog? Anybody answering?
I don't see anybody yet, but let me, go ahead.
Well, you can answer it.
Well, I was just going to tell you, if I see anybody comment, then I'll let you know. But, so yeah, I mean, I think you'd want to be the one that's there, right? That's not moving. Yeah.
Okay. So this is good. So if you want to attract your dog, so we have
no. Yes. So if I want to attract my dog, I would want to move away. I would want to move so that he's chasing me.
Right. You want to be the stupid bunny.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
I apparently am the stupid bunny.
So you want to be you play that game a lot because you're going to use it for other things later on.
Okay.
So you just do that a lot. So you get them to chase you. Don't run forward, run side to side.
Okay.
Okay. If you run forward, that dog's going to take off.
Right.
Then you're going to face plant. Okay.
Okay.
So you want to, like faint right like a football player kind of thing. Okay.
Keep it exciting.
Yeah. Keep it exciting. Then you're going to do move. And so you do that a whole bunch of times.
Okay.
Then you would do, moving backups where you're walking backwards. The operative term here is walk. You walk backwards. The dog will follow you. Click and treat, change direction. Dog follows you. Click and treat, change direction. All the while you're walking backwards. And you're going to make sure that you click in the center of your body. Of course, you can't see my legs because I'm sitting, but in the center of your body.
Okay.
Down by your legs, by wherever your dog's head is. And that's going to make a difference later on. So you do those two steps for a solid week.
Okay.
So be the stupid bunny and then moving backwards, many different locations as you can, relatively mild distractions.
Okay.
Or distractions. If the dog is then doing really, really good with that, then I would do a pivot to heel. So you're walking backwards. You have your food in your left hand. This throws people. Leash in your right hand. Food in your left hand. Okay? So you walk backwards. The dog is looking up at you. Again, I'm sitting, so I can't really do it. But what you would do is you would take your left hand. You're backing up. Take your left hand, put it at your belly, pivot to your right. So then your dog is now on your left.
Okay.
So if you walk backwards, you put your left hand at your belly, turn to your right, the dog is on your now left. And as soon as you turn, you'd click and treat. And then put your hand back up at your belly. And then take a step, click and treat, click and treat, click and treat, click and treat. Every step.
Okay.
And then you do that for, 15, 20 minutes, if that. And then I start playing healing games. Which I don't know if we have time to really go through at this point.
No, but I think, so maybe let's chat just really briefly. I know you're working on something that is specific to loose leash walking. So maybe just real quick, kind of share what this is, because it's not quite out yet, but yeah.
It was a seminar that I did and I videotaped it.
Okay.
And it takes you through every single step that we just did plus, and it shows you these were real dogs. These were not fake dogs.
Okay.
That already, we videotaped them pulling into my building.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, so we have the before where they were, pulling their owners all over the place. And then the after where we're outside and they're walking on a loose leash.
Okay.
So this takes you through, and just so you know, this is a pre-publication sale. It's not available yet. It should be available in about a month. But It is on my website. You can get a discount.
Okay, cool. Yep, that's awesome. And we will, and I'll make sure that in the comments of this video, I can put, whatever links Pam gives us, we can make sure that folks get that information, and I'll make sure that I cascade that out. So, because I know this is an issue. I deal with it with my own dogs, and it's just because they're huge, and I think it is just a commitment to doing it a little bit each day and kind of going through the process from start. It's right through.
Again, the issue that people do is, then they start using harsher and harsher equipment.
Right.
What they don't realize
the prong
is that
collars and such
is not a single behavior.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of behaviors that need to come. They need to learn it first. You don't, I don't know what, you have kids. What age do they start learning simple math?
Oh, I mean, 4-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, 3,
yeah.
4.
So would you put
where they're doing, 1
in
plus
advanced
1.
calculus?
Well, no. Right. Okay.
They don't even know that 1 and 1 equals 2.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next pre-submitted question that we had is really very different from loose walking, but would be a problem if you are one of the distractions is another dog. So what is the best way to handle a dog that is starting to be aggressive towards other dogs?
Okay. I will get back to you. My computer, for some bizarre reason, is about to run out of power.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to leave the computer here. I'm going to run into my office and grab my cord and plug it back in.
Yeah.
So
you know what? And it's funny you say, go ahead and do that, Pam.
Okay.
It's funny you say that. Yeah. Cause I noticed the connection wasn't as good as it was before. So, for those of you that are just hopping on, so Pam just, went to just get her power cord really quick. So we have a good connection for the rest. We've just got a couple of more pre-submitted questions. So if you have any questions that she hasn't yet touched on, definitely shoot them into the comments and we can try to get to those. We're trying to stick to about an hour for this. So we may go just a few minutes over. I don't want to cut anything short because for the folks that submitted these questions, I want them to get a thoughtful response and give Pam the opportunity to elaborate as she needs to. So, all right. Did you get it plugged back?
In.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I have no idea. Could have been because we keep losing power because of the storm and then I didn't know it and it wasn't charging and whatever. So
no worries. Well, actually, it's funny you say that because I was trying to manage like a few extension cords and my daughter's 12. She's helping me and I'm like, I don't know. It's just not, the power cord's not working. So I'm plugging it in. She's like, Mom, you got to put it into the computer too. So I had like the thing into the extension cord, but nothing going to the computer. So, details.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about aggression in dogs.
Okay.
And really this is specific to dog aggression, not, so my experience has been more with aggression towards to people. And so that is, I don't know, maybe if you can, I'll just expand the question. And if there's any crucial quick differences between how you would handle that, maybe touch on that, but let's deal with the dog aggression first.
Okay. I actually handle it exactly the same way.
Okay. Perfect.
So what I do typically, I had done a poll many, many years ago to find out when the aggression started. Okay. Most of them, I have the statistics somewhere. Most of them started during a fear period. Okay. Or maybe the person only went to one puppy kindergarten and then never went back to any kind of training. I always ask when people call me and they explain to me that their dog is acting aggressively or whatever. And I'll say, okay, I'll ask them, so what is your reaction to your dog when your dog does X, Y, Z? Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's punishment.
Right.
So a lot of this can be fear period, can be owner induced. Okay.
And would you say, sorry to interrupt. So would you say that when somebody is punishing a dog that's, showing signs of aggression, would you say that it's equally as bad to be telling the dog, oh, it's okay? Like, no, it's okay, it's okay. I mean, I think that's more common when you're dealing with fear. And so I guess, would you differentiate between those two responses? So kind of a more punishment oriented versus a kind of coddling and trying to excuse the behavior sort of a response, if that makes sense.
I'm thinking.
Because either way, I think you're
well, you can't reinforce emotion, but you can reinforce behavior.
Okay.
So now I've used it, like sometimes dogs are really, maybe they're a little nervous in class, and I will have the person, all right, forget what we're doing. I want you to just sit down on the ground with your dog, and I show them how to do some T-touch real quick. And then I said, I'll say, in a minute or two, just keep doing this, and then give your dog a cookie, see if they'll eat a cookie. Usually within 10, 15 minutes, the dog actually will eat a cookie, and then we know that the dog is calm. So we didn't reinforce that, the dog is freaked out for whatever reason.
Okay.
So coddling the dog or petting the dog, I mean, if the dog is in full blown, no, you don't want to be going, oh, it's okay, it's okay. And then most people, what they'll do, instead of doing a calming pet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and this is women too, but mostly men. I don't know what it is. Most, if you say pet slowly and calmly, women will do what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
If you say that to a man, and I had a guy do that in class the other day, and it's like, okay, I said, this is what I'm looking for. Your arm, I showed him, and then he was going like this. He still would do this.
Okay.
Okay. This is going to rev the dog up even more. I mean, that's how they train police attack dogs. My ex-son-in-law, he was a canine police officer. And so he showed me video, and, they've got the, trainer behind the dog on a prong collar, and popping and jerking and yanking, and they're hitting the dog and hitting the dog and hitting the dog. In the meantime, the guy in front of the dog has, the bite sleeve on, and when the trainer behind the dog figures, okay, this dog is like really wild, bam, they let the dog go to bite the bad guy with the bite sleeve. Well, we don't want your dog to be a police attack dog.
No, right.
But if you think about it, that's what a lot of people will do when their dog is acting aggressively. They will act like the police dog trainer.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. We don't stop acting like a police dog trainer. Okay. You're not. Okay. But there's a lot of different reasons why dogs can become aggressive, whether to people or humans, whatever bad experiences. I can't tell you. I mean, oh my God, for dear God's sake, please don't go to a dog park. I can't tell you how many people have come to me, when did your dog start showing this? Well, he got attacked at the dog park.
Yeah, right.
I had this one woman come to me. I handled it poorly. So I did not gain her as a client. And I admit it. I'll admit it to the world. I don't know. So she comes to me and she says, oh yeah, I have a aggressive dog. I've been taking him to the dog park to socialize him.
Oh, wow.
So it just hit me on just the wrong day, and I lambasted her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I said, okay, you can continue to do that. But what I want you to do is every time you go to the dog park, I want you to bring $20,000 to $30,000 in cash. And the next time your dog attacks somebody, say, oh, I'm so sorry. Here's $20,000 to $30,000 because that's how much it's going to take them to fix their dog.
Right. Right.
So
it's just selfish.
That did not endear me. I mean, I understand you don't know much about dogs and dog training, but how does that make sense? To socialize your aggressive dog at the dog park?
No.
Socialization should be good experiences, and look what you're doing to the other dogs.
Right. Right.
And a lot of times all it takes is one attack.
Yep. Yep.
For the dog to become dog aggressive.
And to your point about the fear periods earlier, that would be a critical time to not be taking your dog around. Right.
Yeah. So, a lot of this is handler induced. How you fix it. I have this and I have the Reward Zone DVD and program.
Okay.
And what I do, to put it in a nutshell, is I teach a million alternate and incompatible behaviors.
Okay.
A lot of obedience, sit down, stay, come, walk on a loose leash, heel, a whole bunch of other foundation skills first.
Okay.
And then start setting up situations, but only so that the dog can succeed.
Okay.
Okay. And it would be impossible to list all of the different options that you can do. I mean, there's quite a few in here.
Okay.
And of course in the DVD as well, because then you can see, this is your Bible, and then the DVD shows you what to do and how to do it and how to put situations together.
Okay.
And put sessions together and what you're looking for, and also learning to read your dog, because my God, that's all of it.
Right. And it's just the smallest, sometimes it's an eye looking away, or it's just a very slight thing that if you're not really cued into your dog's behavior, it can be something so, like, they're communicating with us, but so often I think that dog owners don't really pay attention to those cues until the dog's leaping up and biting.
Right. They don't even know they exist.
Right.
So in my classes, I actually I show parts of Turid Rugas's video.
Yeah.
On calming terms, talking with dogs. And I encourage them to get a copy of their own.
It's my Bible. Yeah. Yep.
I've watched it over 2,000 times.
Wow. I need to get the DVD. I've only I read the book. And I've recommended that to my audience. I feel like ad nauseum. So it is one of those things that is, when you are cued into those signals, it is funny. We have kind of a running joke with our dogs, like, stop calming signaling me. Like, cause like Junior will be like yawning. Like, I can tell what you're doing. I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's terrific. And I appreciate you, sharing some of those tools that people can, if they are dealing with this issue, as somebody that has dealt with a human aggressive dog, get help. That is not something that you want to be trying to solve alone. But get the right help. And so I think that one of the things that is really scary and detrimental in the dog training world is that so often, and I think so many very prominent trainers train and, punish that type of aggression and a lot of that. And you're sort of punishing the warning signals, and you're punishing that, and it only makes the problem worse. And so really, my caution would be, take Pam's advice and use her tools, because those are going to be the tools that are really going to solve the issue.
I have a new venture that I'm doing. It's called the Reward Zone, which is my work with aggressive dogs, instructor training course. Oh. So I put together for people that want to learn really the method that works. It's not an easy course, and it's not a couple days. It's going to be 4 weeks of 5 days each, spread out over. So it's level 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
And there's going to be a lot of comprehensive everything. And then they will become a certified Reward Zone instructor. And then, of course, I put it on my website, and there's all different ways that I help you advertise and that kind of thing.
I love that. Love that. And there are trainers in my group. So hopefully we'll get this out to everybody that is in the field of dog training, because that would be a terrific adjunct to their services, for sure.
Yeah, and I did that to fight back about these people, these so-called trainers, that are using shock on aggressive dogs. And
Exactly.
It's like, I can't take it anymore. I'm putting this program together.
Yep. Good for you. I love that. I love that. And yes.
From, this college that really only gave them a reading list, and now they're certified.
Right.
Okay. But they don't know how to actually train their way out of a paper bag. And so they think, oh, you work with an aggressive dog. Oh, well, a human aggressive dog. So you walk up to the dog and you give him a cookie, and that's how you fix it.
Oh, right.
Oh my God.
No.
Terrifying.
Yep.
So that's the kind of stuff that's out there to stay away from.
Yes. I mean, and the sad thing is I've trained my dogs, not just these two, but previous dogs under all sorts of different trainers. So I started, I'm trying to think, was it the very first class I'd ever been in? Yeah, it was. So my first Mastiff, this is back in 2000, and our Labrador, we got about 3 months apart. They were puppies, and we went to Patricia McConnell's school in Wisconsin to train them. So that is kind of like what I would consider you for sure, and Patricia McConnell being sort of what good looks like. That is really my standard as far as the type of training and how to communicate and build a relationship with your dog. That being said, I mean, since then we've moved all over the place, and I've been to lots of different training classes. And I mean, lots of people, they don't have the availability. I think that that's a challenge for some people where they think, the only thing I have is Petco. And this is not a knock against all Petco trainers, but, training,
if that.
Right. So I have an N of 1. I've been to one class, and it was Junior, who was just a puppy, and then another little puppy who was taken away from his parents at like 6 weeks old. It was a little German Shepherd puppy. The new owners had never had a dog before. It just was, I don't know. And the trainer was not really a trainer, and I don't know. I was just like, no, if you can find something else. And I would even, in my opinion, I would recommend online training before I would do that, for sure.
Right. Well, that's why I started my online classes. Mm-hmm. Because people want to train with me, but they're nowhere near New Jersey.
Yes. Yep.
So that's why I did the online classes, and they're as close to in person as possible, because there's a lot of feedback. You ask a question, show me a video, ask me about this, ask me about that.
So you're supporting people all along the way.
Constantly.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have a question and you post it on the thing, I answer it right away.
Okay. I love that. That's perfect. And that is the support that a lot of dog owners, especially new, like puppy owners. Those folks are the really ones that need kind of the hand holding.
Right.
And
do Skype.
Yep.
I do Skype. I've done that. I have a client in Alaska.
Oh, wow.
In California and Georgia and upstate New York. And I've done Skype, works really, really well. Because then awesome. I give little demos with my dogs.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to, I know we're right at 12 o'clock, so 12 o'clock my time. Do you want to try to do one more super quick question, and then we'll kind of wrap things up?
It's a little tight.
It's a little tight. Okay. So I think you've given kind of, a really good overview of some of the stuff that you're working on. So you've got the loose leash. We'll give the link to how people can pre-order that. Right. And if folks are watching the replay, I think you gave tons of really great tools for, how to train that in a series of behaviors, a series of steps, I should say. So I think, really, I would just say thank you. I know we were a little delayed getting started, but I appreciate your time. I hope that this has been really helpful for people. And maybe we can try to do this again, get some more questions and things.
Sure.
Because I do think it's really helpful to have kind of a resident expert. And in the 20 some odd years that I've had dogs and trained dogs, you learn a lot along the way, so I can help, but I'm always giving the caveat that I'm not technically a trainer. I'm a dog owner that has had some success, but I struggle with things too. And sometimes it is a function of the big dogs that I have that I struggle with the loose leash walking. I need to get your DVD. So I really do. I'll be your first customer. So with that being said, all right, so we're gonna wrap up. Thank you so much, Pamela. I appreciate your time so much. I hope this has been valuable for everyone. The quick housekeeping rules, or housekeeping tips, I do have a couple of links in the description that include the blog posts that this topic around dog training and how to find a great dog trainer like Pamela. And the link to the downloadable that gives you the list of all of the books that we referenced today. And that link is bigdogmom.com/dog-training-books. And if you want to subscribe to Big Dog Mom, you can always do that at bigdogmom.com /subscribe. And that's the link to that. And here is the link to, subscribe. So that's being said. Yeah. And then go ahead if there's anything else.
Yeah, and my website is just my name, PamDennison.com.
And you can get to it at positivedogs.com too, correct?
You should be able to, although somebody said that they couldn't the other day, because it's supposed to forward it automatically.
It forwarded it for me, but I did get some kind of a thing saying, but it did forward it for me. So if you type in positive dogs, it just goes to PamelaDennison.com. Right? Yeah. And I'll make sure that link, I should have put that in the description, so I apologize, but that will be in the description as well. I'll make sure that we add that in the comments. So.
Yeah, and it's not Pamela Dennison. It's just Pam
Dennison. Good. Thank you.
PamDennison.com. I tried to make it simple and easy.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.